With recent advances in audio technologies, it has become substantially easier for people to produce high-quality sounding audio from their own homes at a reasonable price. Hello, I am Zephy, and in this video I'll be discussing the very basics of recording audio and how anyone can build or improve upon their own home studios. Whether it be for podcasts, voiceovers, music, let's plays, or any number of reasons, you can acquire your own recording setup fairly easily. But first, you need to choose what type of microphone you are going to use. There are three basic types of microphones that I want to talk about right now: dynamic, condenser, and USB microphones. There are many other kinds of microphones, such as headset microphones and ribbon microphones. However, the purpose of this video is to keep it simple and talk about the basics of getting started. To break it down, I'll first be talking about USB microphones, then I will be talking about interfaces, then I will be talking about condenser microphones, and I'll finish up with dynamic microphones. Popular with newer entries into the sound recording world, USB microphones are one of the cheapest and simplest options of the three microphone types. You can literally just buy one of these microphones, plug them into your USB port of your computer, open up a program, and start recording. This simplicity and the general lower cost of these microphones is what makes them so attractive on the market, despite the fact that studio condenser and dynamic microphones can record higher quality sound. Some popular USB microphone companies are CAD, Samsung, and Blue. If you're a bit short for cash, or you just want to ease yourself into things without making a huge investment, this is probably the type of microphone for you. They function fine with any vocal work, but definitely start to drop off when it comes to recording instruments. Now, this isn't to say that they sound absolutely horrible when it comes to recording something like, say, guitars. However, the condenser and dynamic microphone types just do the job so much better. It is to be expected that with more money means better quality. But you can even look into the microphones that come with the video game Guitar Hero and Rock Band, which are made usually by Logitech, and surprisingly don't sound all that horrible for under $15. Some of you may even already have them in your home. Now that we have finished talking about the simplest form of microphone, it is time to get into the more complex stuff. Microphones that need some form of external equipment to function. The next two types of microphones are condenser and dynamic, which both differ from the USB microphones in a big way. In order for these microphones to work, the small electronic signal that they generate must first run through a preamplifier, or a preamp for short. The preamp then boosts the signal and prepares it to be sent to the computer's sound card. USB microphones have a built-in preamp which allows them to plug directly into your computer. However, condenser and dynamic microphones do not have a built-in preamp and require an external audio interface in order to work. An audio interface is a box which plugs into your computer and supplements the computer's built-in sound card in order to process and read the audio. Essentially, you can think of it as an upgrade for your computer's sound hardware. Additionally, the vast majority of microphones, other than the aforementioned USB microphones, use XLR cables, which cannot be connected directly into a computer. However, you can connect an XLR cable into an interface, and then connect that interface into a computer. To put it simply, the microphones connect to the interface box connects to the computer plays back the audio. Speaking of connecting to a computer, FireWire and USB are the two most common forms of connection used to connect interfaces to your computer. Although FireWire interfaces may have a few advantages over USB interfaces, not every computer is equipped to use a FireWire adapter, especially PCs. FireWire does have the ability to transfer data at a faster rate than USB. However, in terms of audio, this doesn't really have much of an effect unless you are recording several dozens of microphone channels at one time. I would probably recommend a USB-connected interface because they're almost guaranteed to work on almost any computer. And the benefits yielded from FireWire are not all that substantial by comparison. Most starter-level interfaces will cost you around $100. Focusrite, PreSonus, and M-Audio are some of the few common audio interface brands. I use the Focusrite 2i2 audio interface. So to review, you need to buy an audio interface box in order to use a condenser or a dynamic microphone. Interfaces may be intimidating at first, but I believe that the benefits and possibilities that they yield definitely makes them worth your investment. Now let's talk about the actual microphones that plug into these interfaces. Condenser mics, or capacitor mics as they are called in the United Kingdom, are the most common mics that you'll see in professional studios and broadcasting stations for recording vocals and more gentle sounds such as violins. However, condenser mics can also work great on almost any instrument. Drums, guitars, harps, pianos, saxophone, trombones, flutes, trumpets, just about anything you can think of, provided you determine the proper placement and distance to put them in order to avoid overloading, causing the sound to distort and peak. But this can be found out with some simple experimentation. Condenser mics are unique in that they need to be powered externally with 48 volts of what is called phantom power. Most interfaces have a switch button on them labeled either 48V or phantom power. When this switch is flipped on, it will power the condenser microphone. Without this power, the microphone will not be able to function at all. You shouldn't worry too much about this, but keep in mind when buying an interface to make sure that they have phantom power or 48V features on them. You will find the vast majority of them do have this capacity, but it's good to double check. Condenser microphones are more fragile than the other two kinds of microphones, so you're going to want to be careful when using them and make sure to keep them in a stable environment where they won't get dropped or exposed to the elements. Condenser microphones provide you with a lot of bang for your buck and can record great sounding audio. If you're really looking to getting into the field of recording high-quality audio for music and high-quality voiceovers, I would recommend investing the extra cash into an interface box and a condenser microphone rather than settling on a simple USB microphone. Personally, I find condenser microphones to be my favorite of the microphone types. Now finally, we have dynamic microphones. Dynamic microphones are the workhorse of the microphone types. Reliable and durable, almost any live performance you see will be using one of these dynamic microphones. Dynamic microphones need an external interface to plug into, like a condenser microphone, but unlike a condenser microphone, they do not need phantom power or external power to function. Just plug them into your interface and they will work. Because of their durability, they are often used on stage. Unlike a condenser microphone, which you should be wary of dropping, you can literally use some dynamic microphones to hammer nails, although I really wouldn't recommend it. Dynamic microphones usually aren't quite as sensitive as condenser microphones, but they excel at recording drums, loud amps, and intense vocal, especially for heavy metal and particularly aggressive rap vocalists. When a sound is too loud or close for the microphone to handle, it can cause a voltage surge in the current which overrides the audio processors and causes the audio to clip, distort, and generally sound awful. The avoidance of this occurrence is one of the dynamic microphone's greatest strengths. A dynamic microphone is able to handle a lot more sound pressure than a condenser microphone before it causes a peak in the audio, and it is this reason why they are used for the more rugged tasks. Shure, spelled S-H-U-R-E, is generally known as the king of dynamic microphones. The SM57 and the extremely similar SM58 microphones are two of the most common and popular microphones in the world, and can be found in almost any professional recording studio and many live venues. So to refresh, USB microphones are the cheapest option and can be used without buying any other equipment. Condenser microphones are the most sensitive and need an external interface and phantom power in order to work. Dynamic microphones are durable and especially good for more powerful things. Dynamic microphones also need an interface to plug into, but do not need phantom power. And there you have it, the three most common types of microphones and how they differ. I'll provide links to all the gear that I use in the description, as well as some of the good places to browse and buy microphones. If you have any questions, please make sure to let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. Zephy out.